Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Canva presents the killer of productivity. It was an ordinary workday until...
Oh no, this meeting could have been an email.
Run. Canva had a creative solve.
Get email. I'll just put the info the team needs in a Canva doc, and I'll make it visual with images, charts, and graphics.
Bring productivity killers to justice with creativity. Love your work at canva.com.
Live from New York. It's a show that promises.
I'm so excited.
They're not going to talk about the recliner once.
Okay, that's great.
Today.
Can I just tell you something? That's fine.
Just
Brew,
I
ignore
didn't.
him.
I
Brew.
said I'm not going to.
Brew, meet my eyes if you would. This is one of our favorite shows of the year. Yeah, because, and it sneaks up on you.
Okay.
Because the NBA, in today's NBA, everything that happens before tomorrow is preamble. And then it's this 2-month
It's like
feast.
a whole new season.
Correct.
It really is.
And now this, we get
the postseason.
Yeah, well done. And so, and then we're just right in it. All week, I feel like we've just been waiting for the games to really get going, and they get going.
Can't
tomorrow.
wait. And some good ones, too.
Yeah. Did you come up with that?
I think so. I think
really?
I just did.
You need a new catchrace because Nico ruined defense wins championships.
He owes me a lot of money.
He owes you a lot.
Unless they're about to go on a run in Dallas.
I think the Dallas fans are mad. Wait till you see my lawyer bill. First hour, first things first. Today, are the Lakers already facing a must-win? Wait till you see the stats. The answer is yes. Meanwhile, are the Steelers better off with or without Aaron Rodgers? And finally, will the Celtics keep the largest slice of title pie? Two Lakers analysts.
Well, Brew waves the pom-poms for no one, obviously.
I didn't want to say fans because we got into a big fight about it.
I was just the first to see it.
No, you're the one who is from... Brew, are you from L.A.? In your many places?
That's of all the places.
I'm from the Midwest. Where are you from? New England?
Yeah.
Did you grow up rooting for Boston?
Yeah.
Okay, so then why? So
It was
you're
a happy
the only
coincidence.
okay.
I've had different finals picks all the time.
Well,
this just so happens
because Captain Easy stands.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever's the number one seed.
No, whoever.
We're trying to be right.
Whoever's the defending champ
One or the other.
is wild.
I'm trying to be right. I don't know what you guys are out
Well,
here.
that hasn't worked out for you so far.
You don't think so?
You've never
Go back and look at the final. Go back and watch the finals.
Nuggets, you were a year late.
Nuggets.
I was in a full tuxedo, and you guys were like, Luka's gonna pull it out. And I had a guy playing the piano.
That was for Lakers Nuggets.
No, it wasn't.
It was
for
Celtics. You brought him back.
Mavs.
After your Nuggets got cooked.
We're starting. I'm gonna root for the Wolves. I don't even think
You
they're gonna win.
already are.
Wolves in LA tomorrow night.
Where are they?
They're the 2 seed.
Wild is mad already.
Well, I'm just saying. You guys are like, whoa, the regular season doesn't count. Well, you're like, yeah, you better hope so. Wolves in LA tomorrow night. Lakers favored and currently have the 4th best title odds. Here's Luka on the potential championship run. We're 3 minutes into the show already.
Yeah, you want something.
I think we have a great team. We have guys that are willing to go to war. Everybody's staying together. The chemistry is high, so I think we do for sure have a chance.
Okay, most optimistically, if the Lakers do win, would a title mean more for Luka or LeBron?
Let me have a little space.
Sure.
Wow.
This is a tough question. It's a great question.
How long are you going to
Probably a while. I'm excited
just sit
for it.
back
That's
and
why I
relax.
said-
No, but I do think it means more for Luka slightly. Obviously, LeBron is the whole GOAT debate, and I'll get into that. But for Luka, Nick, it's the first. And not just the first, it is one. It is a title that forever gets that monkey off your back. And a player of his caliber, you got to win it. And until you do, it is always going to be there. And every year the pressure will ratchet up more and more and more. Giannis and Jokic, both multiple-time MVPs, both smack dab in the middle of their prime, both expected by many to go out in the first round. What is keeping the heat off their backs?
They got championship.
They got a championship. That's it. So our default is to blame the organization or their teammates or coaching or whatever it might be, not them because they've proven. Now, there'll be some degree of pressure. Obviously, we want to see them win another one. But once you get that one, you're a made man. So that's why I do say for Luka, it's more important. LeBron, obviously, is the GOAT debate. And you guys know I think the GOAT is Jordan. But I have said, and you probably remember this, Nick, I've said for years that when the millennials, and you're a millennial, when the millennials and Gen Z are kind of controlling the conversation versus my generation.
Can't wait.
No, but I think a lot of people, like LeBron may very well have that space that Jordan has had where he's just viewed as the GOAT. All right, I think Jordan, the only thing that made me question that was The Last Dance, because Jordan got a huge bump from that, and even younger people were like, oh, Jordan's the GOAT and all this. But I think recently LeBron has gained steam from momentum in this GOAT debate. I mentioned to Nick earlier, in hoopshype.com, ever since the NBA released its top 75 players of all time a few years ago, Hoops Hype has done it every year, and they've added like a player every year, so now it's up to 78. But before this season, this was the first year they actually put LeBron number 1 and Jordan number 2. So that's some momentum. But also the accolades, from the records he's broken, playing so well at 40. And if he gets a 5th championship, it won't sway me on this, but there will be another batch of people that will come over to LeBron if he gets his 5th ring at 40 years old. So I think I don't think it'll totally sway it where LeBron's recognized, widely as the GOAT, but I think it'll bring a significant number of people to his side, but I'd give it to Luka.
So I agree with you on the Luka stuff. I'm going to get to that in a second. On LeBron, listen, so much of, and I think we do a good job on this show of not doing this, and probably I think just because we try to all be fair, and so much of the LeBron commentary is a circular firing squad, you know what I mean, on behalf of Michael Jordan, not because Michael Jordan wants it to be going on, but where the moment these playoffs start, it is, man, if you lose, you had Luka Doncic. And if you win, it's like, well, you had Luka Doncic. And so, there is, and that second part, that if you win, you had Luka Doncic, again, of course, ignores that Steph got 2 of his 4 with Kevin Durant, that Magic got 5 of his 5 with Kareem, that Kobe got 5 of his 6. Kareem got 5 of his 6 with Magic. Kobe got 3 of his 5 with Shaq, and Shaq got 3 of his 4 with Kobe. Now, that is an argument people would say for Michael Jordan because he doesn't have another pantheon player alongside him for it, even though Pippen was a great player. But there aren't a lot of undecided voters left in the GOAT debate, which is weird in that one guy is still playing, but set that aside. Luka, this vaults him into such a different stratosphere because he already is statistically an all-time playoff performer. So you guys have seen these graphs before. Most playoff points per game of all time. It is Luka behind only Jordan, and then 6 of the greatest scorers of all time are on that list. Your buddy, Bill Simmons, who actually was texting with this morning, he did a great pod with Wendy, created the 42 Club, which was individual, don't go to it yet, Dust, individual playoff runs for guys who have averaged a total of 42 points, rebounds, and assists. And it was in his book. It was his shorthand for great playoff runs. So I took that idea and said, hey, who are the guys whose career playoff averages are in the 42 combined points, rebounds, assists? That's this group of guys. Wilt, Luka, Joker, Bill Russell, Jordan, LeBron, Elgin, Giannis. No outliers there, no flaws there. It's just like, okay. And then if he wins the title, who's done this? Who's had 5 first-team All-NBA seasons and a championship before they turned 28? Luka, Bron, Magic, Bird, Duncan, and old Bullet Bob Pettit. Jordan won a bunch of titles
older than
right
28
after.
there, Bob.
Yeah, no, I actually think he is 28 years old there, man. People used to age.
Pettit.
The picture of him.
28.
And so he immediately jumps in. If they win the title, Wilds, and at the podium says, "My heart's broken. I never wanted to leave Dallas. I'm retiring to go back to Slovenia." He's a top 30 all-time player. He jumps Clyde. He jumps Gary Payton. He jumps Steve Nash. He's in the tier with...
He jumps Barkley. I mean, as great as... And Barkley,
Really?
I have major respect for
MVPs?
Barkley's game. But just leading the team to a championship. Now, he does have LeBron, but still.
Okay. Well, who's leading?
Well,
the
being
team?
the best
I think
player.
he's the best player.
Probably the best
I think
player.
LeBron obviously is his team, but Luka's the best player.
He's certainly in that tier with
Barkley
Barkley.
did play. Now, I get it. It was later in his career, but he did play with Olajuwon and Pippen and then Olajuwon and Drexler.
Yes.
And if you look at Barkley's numbers the year before he went to Houston, they were Barkley numbers.
He was an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
And so, but even if he's just certainly in that tier, he's in that group of guys. And the other thing it would do is this. He would have, and I'm very curious where you stand on this, a legitimate claim that he is the best player in the world.
Oh, definitely.
So, like, Joker would have, by definition, not gone as far as Luka in either of the last 2 postseasons. Giannis would not have gone as far as Luka in either of the last 2 postseasons. You know what I mean? If we're saying Luka wins it, last year Luka went much further than Joker, went much further than Giannis, and if he wins it, he goes further than everybody. So, like, that,
I think he
those
would
are the
have
stakes.
an argument, as you say. I don't think he.
I
still think most
consensus.
people would view Jokic as.
Well, we'll see
because
how
they
the
would
playoff
say
run
put
goes.
Jokic with LeBron.
Sure.
That's what you know what I mean. So but I think he have an
He'd
argument.
have an argument.
And I was on the herd the other day. Colin made a good point. He could be the face of the league if they won the championship. His jersey sales skyrocketed once he went to the Lakers.
Yeah, I think he's
with the
finally
glamour
dethroned
franchise.
LeBron and Steph.
Yeah. So he probably would. Good chance he'd be the face of the league.
Question for you, bro, because I knew you guys were going to handle that very well. I'm like, I wonder what it means for LeBron as a Laker outside of the GOAT conversation. And this is a bigger conversation, obviously, in baseball for the silly quirk of your hat in the Hall of Fame. It's just a fun thing to argue about. So if he wins the total list of guys who won 2 with 2 teams, Robert Horry, Kerr, Rodman, who you could argue had a real, role in both teams, Ron Harper, and then LeBron.
It's all role
None
players.
of them were stars, right?
Right.
Other than LeBron.
So do you think that if he won with the Laker, would you start to think of him as a Laker, like when you close your eyes in 20 years?
I would think of him as a Laker before a Heat.
You would?
I might already.
Probably that.
I mean, I think he's a Cav.
That's interesting.
So do I.
I think he should go into the Hall of Fame as a Cav, and I think he'll, just because he's from there. And that championship is still, and even if they win it this year at 40, which would be huge, I still think his greatest championship was the one in Cleveland.
Yes, but I do think, do you agree with me that certainly if they win this, he is a bigger imprint on the Lakers than the Heat? Like, so they'd be even on championships.
Yes.
Now the Heat thing was unbelievable.
It was just so, it was short.
But it was short.
But it had a big impact on the NBA, but I don't view his legacy in Miami as almost like a mercenary in a weird way.
The thing is this, though. Those were his first championships.
Yep.
And that was huge for his career. And we saw the struggles in the first finals against Dallas and the maturity the growth he showed in winning those 2 there. So And the Lakers also have so many other champions and great all-time great players. I don't know if I put it ahead of the Heat.
I don't know. The Lakers.
And that ushered in an era of super teams, player-generated super teams.
Oh, I think the Heat era had more of an impact on basketball as a whole. But I'm saying, like, for me, it is insane how long he's been a Laker. He has been a Laker.
Is this his 8th year?
This is 7th year.
7th year.
So this is he went. So LeBron's career has gone 7 years in Cleveland, 4 in Miami, 4 in Cleveland, 7 with the Lakers. So if we assume, as I think we all do, that he's going to be a Laker next year, the longest single tenure with one team that he would have ever had would be with the Lakers. And if they get a second championship, after having their only 6-year, real drought in team history, it certainly guarantees him a statue out front of Staples, which I know has been
they need to find room for it.
I know, right? Right. Next to Oscar De La Hoya or something. But certainly.
Before any title talk for LA, the Lakers do need to get through the Wolves. Magic Johnson is picking the Lakers in 6, but worried about Anthony Edwards, writing, I'm scared for my Lakers because the game's most exciting player, superstar Anthony Edwards, is a matchup problem. Here's how Ant has done in the playoffs, averaging 28 points, which is 9th most all time. Should the Lakers be afraid of Anthony Edwards?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
No. I mean, respect him. We understand he is a great player that's on the ascent. So you definitely respect him. But no, I mean, they've got a young player that's better than Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic. And then they got a LeBron, a veteran champion who's still playing great basketball. Like, I don't want to simplify things like this is all that matters, but it's 2 still big-time superstars against 1. Like, they should be fearing the Lakers versus the Lakers fearing them. This reminds me of this. Humor me. Because we know Ant has been compared to Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. But this reminds me, and I know these Lakers aren't as good as those 86 Celtics, but when Jordan was young and early in his career,
the 63-point game.
Yes, and faced the Celtics, they got swept. First game, though, Jordan goes for 49. Second game, he goes for 63. Then he goes for 19 in the third game, and they lose. They get swept. That's when Larry Bird said he's God, disguised as Michael Jordan and all that. But Jordan was 23. Ant is 23. I thought Jordan had very little chance of winning that series, and they didn't. I don't think Minnesota has much chance of winning this series, and I don't think they will. But I think Ant could go berserk individually and lose.
So I agree with that part. I must say, as high as I am on the 2025 Los Angeles Lakers, the 1986 Boston Celtics might have been the greatest team in league history. Certainly on the short list.
I mean, they swept Jordan.
Right? They swept him whenever they played him in the playoffs. So that's neither here nor there. So I think Anthony Edwards will absolutely get his. I know he had a weird season series against the Lakers. There was a game the Timberwolves won where Ant scored 8 points. He had a game that he got thrown out of. So his averages against the Lakers don't look good. I would pencil him in for, I said it when the series started, when we first found out about it, I'll say it again, 32 a game.
That's too much.
And see, I don't think it is.
Too much? You meaning if he gets 32 a game, you think they can win?
No, I don't think they can win.
You think it's too much? You think that would be bad for the Timberwolves?
I think a little bit of, There was an interesting quote, and he's aware of this now. When you talk about his maturity, he says, at this point in the season, it doesn't matter who gets 20 or 30. It doesn't matter if I have 5. It doesn't matter if Julius has 5. Some nights it might be Nas who gets 30 the whole series. Jaden might average 25. It feels like in the article went on, it was in The Athletic, saying that he's aware that he's going to get doubled, and if he tries to go toe-to-toe with Luka, I got to get mine, or if he does get his and doesn't get Jaden involved, then it's...
See, I don't know if he's right that he's going to get doubled.
Oh, well, then
so, I mean, listen, I think...
just play it like...
Just play it like, you know what, because here's the deal. I think A sneaky important part of this series is in a name we have not mentioned once. I don't think Mike Conley will be playable. I think the Lakers' ability with Luka, LeBron, or Austin, one of them, like if Conley's on the court, he's got to guard somebody. And any of those guys' ability, go ahead.
Isn't Rudy going to erase some of that? If you just blow past Conley, just don't let him hit.
So that's where I think getting Rudy involved in the pick and roll and getting him out on the edge, I just think that, so the reason I'm mentioning that is Conley is, listen, he's the same draft class as Durant. Like, he's an older player. At his advanced age, still a good offensive player and the best passer on their team. If he gets played out of the series, then Ant has to do so much of the scoring and playmaking. And he's going to have to bust his ass on the defensive end. I think this is, even with the days between, not he's going to be tired going into games. I just think this is going to be an exhausting workload for him. And they're going to need a ton from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a ton from Jaden McDaniels. And the reason I don't think they're necessarily going to blitz Ant is I think what JJ, just my guess, is going to try to prevent is those role players from feeling confident seeing open shots go in to be like, listen, Ant's going to be confident no matter what. Mm-hmm. And
he's going to score.
He's going to score no matter what. They don't have a way to, and so I think late in close games, right, then force the ball out of his hands. But I think Ant's going to score a ton. And I know the Timberwolves had the number 8 offense in basketball this year. I don't think they're going to have enough offense to keep up with the Lakers.
Can I upgrade you one?
Sure.
Since March, since they really heated up, they've got the 3rd best record, offensive rating, 2nd best, defensive rating, 7th best.
So that's why I thought you were going to pick them. And I wasn't trying to be a jerk when I said that, but you've cared a lot about post-Luka trade, Lakers record, Lakers net rating, and the Timberwolves in that time frame have been awesome.
Yeah.
And
I'm not picking
Go ahead.
I'm not picking them. You're right.
You believe in the Lakers.
I think LeBron can win 2 games, and I think Luka can win 2 games. I'll even make it simpler than you. Hey, who can win 2 games? And both LeBron and Luka are like, okay, good.
They don't. Those numbers are interesting for their offensive rating because they really don't have like a legit. I mean, Randall's key. If he can be that second scorer, which we doubt because of his playoff struggles, then maybe they'll have a shot.
Also,
but
maybe
he's got to be that guy.
Other super simple, maybe if I want to go to the Wolves, taller.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's.
Well, the Wolves have good size.
Yeah, I just don't know if
Gobert,
it's functional.
Good size on the Wolves.
Nas is awesome. Nas is a key person.
Is long.
15 seconds here. So, a question for you guys: is Anthony Edwards the 2nd best player in this series?
Gosh, he should be.
He's viewed as, I had him first team All-NBA. I had LeBron second team. If you add the experience on, you certainly want to, LeBron's got an edge, not just because of experience, but that's a big edge. LeBron has seen everything.
So I guess my point is this: for the Timberwolves to have a real shot, and they do have I'm not trying to disrespect them, they have a real shot. Anthony Edwards has to outplay LeBron James. If we assume Luka's going to be the best player in the series, you can't win a series if the other team's got the best and 2nd best player and they play like it. Like Anthony Edwards is going to –
some of that depends on how LeBron comes out because we've seen him coast early and then come on strong in the 4th quarter. So he is the 2nd best player at this point.
The curious case of Shedeur Sanders. Why is everyone so confused? Next on FS1 and the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM.
Clorox Sentiva smells like lavender. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like... All right, that could go on for a while. Experience the long-lasting freshness of Clorox Sentiva. Available in Clorox Sentiva Lavender Scented Bleach. Use as directed.
Coach Mangini is here. The confusing case of Shedeur Sanders. Now, the Giants were in Colorado yesterday for another look at Sanders after they sent over a dozen people to Colorado's Pro Day. Kalen Kaler chronicled the NFL's confusion around Sanders in an article on ESPN.com. One scout saying, "I can't think of a more difficult quarterback case study to try to come to a conclusion whether or not I believe he's going to succeed to the level he'll get drafted. There was a lot in this article, so Nick, we'll start with you. Do you think people are overthinking Shedeur?
I think they're thinking about the wrong things. And I am not trying to third rail this, but my general take is I think that a lot of NFL talent evaluators have a ton of experience with super involved dads, and very often at quarterback, wealthy kids. I think they have less experience with super involved, wealthy black kids that are as, I guess, culturally aware as Shedeur and Deion, are, and I think that's causing some confusion. I don't think there is any ill intent. I don't think there's any isms involved. I think it's just like, Arch Manning's family, I think, is going to be a lot like, I've met these guys before, more than the Sanders family. So I think that's not a problem, but an issue Shedeur is dealing with that this is coming from. What I think is being missed because of that is, I think the concerns about Shedeur was his completion percentage that high because he's that accurate? Or was it because 20% of their passes were screens and dump-offs? Does the fact that he likes to, run around in the pocket but is not that great of a natural athlete going to hurt him? On-field concerns, to me, are real concerns with Shedeur, yet it seems like it's the other stuff that is sucking the oxygen out of the discussion, and I think that stuff's mostly irrelevant. And I think if you're worried about can he be a leader or will a locker room follow him, that I'm not concerned about with him at all.
Yeah, I do think they're overanalyzing Shedeur. I think the system plays into overanalyzing a lot of guys because it's so long and there's so many combines and workouts and all that you can overthink it with a lot of guys. But I do think he's on the high end, extreme end of that for a few reasons. One, he is brash. I don't mean brash in a negative way, but he's confident and cocky like his dad. And I think in the NFL, they have these stereotypes of what they want the quarterback to be like. So Lamar, a lot of people thought couldn't even play quarterback because he didn't fit the stereotype, and now he's changed that. I think the NFL wants their quarterbacks confident, and if you're cocky, don't act like you're cocky.
Humble.
Right. Yeah, right. Like Mahomes always says the right thing. Brady, the one time he got cocky, they end up losing the Super Bowl to the Giants. He's like, we only going to score 14 points or whatever. So I think that is working against him, and it's like his dad. But I also think teams the specter of Deion Sanders is hovering over this. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's undeniable. I think teams are concerned of what is Deion Sanders going to be saying. How is he going to critique our team and the way we're handling Shedeur? If Shedeur is struggling, he's going to have a mic in front of his face every day in Colorado. He's going to say something. So I think that's a concern. And then I think the other concern is, could Deion Sanders be coaching the team? Like if they struggle, that's going to, whether a team would really do that or not, the fans will think that. Talk shows like ours will talk about that. Deion is a legitimately good coach, so he should be in the running anyway. So I think those things have teams, it's kind of like you said, the wrong things they're looking at, but I do think those are all factors in this.
See, I don't see it being as much of Deion Sanders, the specter of Deion Sanders coming in and coaching if you're not there. Because if you're not there, it doesn't matter who's coaching. You're not there. So it could be Deion, could be anybody. But when you look at Shedeur, the struggle that I have is if you're talking about taking him at 2 or 3 or at 9 or at 21 or anywhere in the first round, those first-round draft picks, there's going to be pressure to play him at some point. And the question is whether or not Shedeur, and that pressure increases dramatically if it's 2 or 3. Like the higher you get, the more pressure there is to play him. And for me is, can he go in and play right away? And when I watch him, I really struggle with the 40 sacks. And I know the talk is about how bad the offensive line was, how bad the running game was. But when you watch it, he's moving around the pocket so much and trying to extend plays that a lot of those sacks they fell on him. And there's 40 scrambles on top of that, and they weren't all big scramble plays. So we're talking about 80 plays now of where it's either a sack or some kind of scramble that's not really Lamar Jackson type scramble or Jaden Daniels type scrambles, and that's a big concern for me. And then I talked about it with Caleb last year. You can do all that stuff in college, and you can try to throw across your body. But Caleb made a ton of wow plays in college where you're like, oh my God. And you could get excited about seeing that. It's nowhere near the same level with Shedeur and those type of plays.
Exactly how I feel.
And so now you're thinking, what are we really getting? And if we draft him high, there's going to be tremendous pressure to play him. Is he going to be ready to play? The only element where I think Deion comes into play here, and forget about it being Deion Sanders, is he's only played for his dad. That's his only head coach has been his dad. So how is he going to take coaching from someone that he's not related to? And I don't think that's a unfair question at all. I think that's a question that you really have to try to figure out, because the dynamic between father and son and coach and player is different.
So the father-son angle to it is an interesting one, because I think when you first said it, I was like, man, I know this kid can take tough coaching. I've seen, you know what I mean? There was a great clip. Right, Deion is a hard ass. Sorry for cursing again. But he's a hard-nosed coach, and there was a clip that I don't know why it populated in my algorithm recently, but it wasn't from Colorado, and I don't even think it was from Jackson State. It might have been high school, where Shedeur's coming off the field having done something, and Deion grabs him and really, goes after him about something he didn't like. But the thing you said at the very end I think is interesting, which is, does that mean Shedeur is used to hard coaching, or does it feel different? And it's like, well, that's my dad can tell me to go clean my room. My dad can do a lot of things that
there's a difference when you're dealing with your child and the way that you versus a player. Yeah. And how does that translate? And I think that Deion Sanders, the coach, is outstanding, and I think he is hard and demanding and all those things. But how will that same message be received when it's not your dad?
I just worry about, for both these quarterbacks, that if last year's quarterback class and this year's quarterback class were one class, that Cam would be the 5th or 6th quarterback off the board and Shedeur would be the 7th or 8th quarterback off the board. And so are we totally evaluating them because they're the best of this specific class?
Yes, that happens all the time. If it's the best available, there's always great inflation for a quarterback because everybody is so desperate to solve that problem.
Here's the thing. There are so many drafts where the 4th guy picked was the best.
No, correct.
6th guy picked.
Yeah, you can be wrong, but I just think there's inflation on that position.
It's interesting. It's an interesting segment next week.
What?
Like a 3.
At Rocket, we believe everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. So if you're feeling locked out of home ownership, we're here to give you back the keys. We're opening doors, breaking down walls, and doing everything we can to turn renters into owners. And we're not going to stop until we help everyone home. To find out more, visit rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Mavs are 6-point underdogs tonight in Memphis. Winner gets a unfortunate date with OKC on Sunday. Ja is a game-time decision. But when you look at the Vegas line, I think he's playing.
I do too.
Who has more to gain tonight, Ja or Anthony Davis?
I think it has to be Ja. I say this with respect. We know exactly who and what Anthony Davis is. Yeah. He was in the same draft class as Dame and Bradley Beal and Draymond. Wow. Isn't that amazing?
He feels younger than Dame.
And feels younger than Draymond, too. Yeah. But those guys stayed longer in college, obviously.
He is younger.
But he is younger, but the same amount of time in the NBA. My point is, any of those guys we think, man, they're going to unlock something next year. We know who Anthony Davis is. He's one of the 12 best players in the league. We know exactly what he is. Ja is trending in the wrong direction, and I think by winning tonight gives himself an opportunity to just throw a couple haymakers, not grenades, haymakers, at Shea in round 1 to give him a little momentum for next year. And so I think it's clearly Ja.
I agree, it's Ja. Look, Anthony Davis is playing on a team that was in the finals last year. and we get all the injuries and stuff, outside of the trade, we get the injuries. Just getting into the playoffs isn't going to impress anybody with this team, right? I mean, he would have to beat OKC in the first round to really gain something to me. I don't even think if they played them tough, 6-7 games, it will help a little. But
really?
If they got them to 7, I think it would
might help and lead to a little. I can't
There'd
even
be a
say
lot of excitement.
They are not going to be excited in Dallas. I'm sorry,
Bro. Game 7 in OKC.
No, for that game they might be, but I'm saying going into next year, Kyrie starting the season on the injured list. If they don't get a Kevin Durant or something, you think that means everybody's going to be excited
Nico Harrison will be like, well.
Oh, it'll give him a little bit of something to smile about. But I'm with Nick. It's Ja. And here's the thing, and I've said, look, Ja was Shai Gilgeous. Now, he wasn't going to win an MVP right away, but he was Shai a couple years ago. Ja was that next generation's great point guard, right? He was above Trey and all these guys. Like, he looked spectacular, face of the league material. He was kind of where Anthony Edwards is now. And Shai has taken that. Like, it's Shai right now. And so if Ja could get into a series with him and outplay him or, give him some trouble and maybe win a few games, that would kind of make us feel like, okay, next year, Ja is back.
Yeah, that's right. But, and go ahead.
Push back on we know who Anthony Davis is?
Yeah.
I don't.
Wait.
Here's why. Pelicans Anthony Davis, who I saw who was putting up those Wilt Chamberlain-esque PER numbers, moved to L.A., and he went from Batman to Robin, and now he's back to being Batman. I'm interested in this Anthony Davis.
But he didn't really
They never won. That was the problem.
I understand.
Maybe, okay, he's
I
older.
understand.
Can he win?
But last time he played Memphis, he was a member of the Lakers. He went for 40 and 16.
Oh, he'll do that.
I would like to see Anthony Davis alpha dog.
Yeah, I would too.
Versus here's a rebound, but it's your show.
You will once every 2 weeks.
Right.
And then it'll be the Luka return game and he'll have 13 points and
that was not good.
By it.
I don't know what happened
This is what it is. Just is what it is.
I'm still rooting for him.
Sure, we all are, but we love sport, as you
I love
say.
sport. Coming up next, what are the Steelers doing with Aaron Rodgers? No one knows.
Another weird one. Shai older than Luka.
In San Antonio elementary schools, no one did it. People were like, Kobe.
Wilds during the break, America, just defaming Tim Duncan. For
No,
no reason
I was saying that
whatsoever.
Kobe was better than Tim Duncan.
No.
And everyone in America agreed.
No.
Around the world.
MVP voters didn't agree. The playoffs didn't agree.
Beloved.
And there were certainly times when he was better, but that's not even the argument we were having.
What was the argument?
Was Tim Duncan ever the best player in the world?
And I'm saying no.
Okay.
He was very, very good, and I liked Tim Duncan. It was not
very
Kobe.
good.
He's the
Yeah.
sixth
He's
greatest
top
player
10.
ever.
How about
Top 10.
what's
Let's do
Kobe?
He
this.
is top 10, definitely.
Aaron Rodgers was playing football with DK Metcalf, and everybody's like, man, it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to play with DK Metcalf. But slow down, Aaron Rodgers told Pat McAfee yesterday. The entire time, I haven't felt like I owed anybody some sort of decision at any point. I've been upfront with them about that. I said, listen, if you need to move on, if you need to do something, by all means. Are the Steelers better off with or without Aaron Rodgers, Coach?
What Aaron Rodgers says is absolutely right. He's at that point where he doesn't have to rush for anybody. He's the best guy available out there. It's not a very strong quarterback draft. He's in no rush to go to any situation. He can let the draft unfold, see what that looks like. He could wait even longer and see, if other opportunities present themselves. And I would imagine he has been pretty upfront with people. And I think when he went to Pittsburgh to see what it was like and to see whether it could be a fit. But he didn't necessarily go to Pittsburgh to try to sell himself to the Steelers. Well, it was as much him trying to figure out whether or not that would be a fit for him as it was for the Steelers to see whether he'd be a fit for them. It makes a lot of sense right now for him to just sit back, see what happens. He's only asking for $10 million, which is not very much for even a backup quarterback now. So why rush? And he can go to Egypt and nobody cares.
Long term, I think they're probably better without him because the chances are better of them having a bad season and maybe getting a big draft pick, next year, a top pick for a quarterback, or they get a young quarterback and there's, no pressure with Aaron Rodgers there. You can play him right away or whatever. But speaking this year, they're better off with Aaron Rodgers. As much as I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to get them to the AFC Championship game, might not even get them to the playoffs, their best chance of being good this year, the one caveat is Kirk Cousins. So I agree Kirk could maybe go there and do something. But outside of Kirk Cousins, like Aaron Rodgers is their best option. As mediocre, or some would say bad as he was last year, he was 8th in passing yards, and he was 7th in TD passes. 28 touchdowns, only had 11 interceptions. So I know he wasn't vintage Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he was great last year, but the numbers were okay. Like, he's their best chance to be good.
Go ahead, KW.
I think the Steelers are unserious about the quarterback position, that they are entertaining this. Just here. Go ahead, Coach. Why do you disagree?
I don't think it's fair, because when an organization loses a great quarterback, it's hard to go find that replacement. So they lost Big Ben. Okay, they had Russ and Fields last year for a total of $5 million. Thought that was a pretty good try to solve that.
I think his point is, if you spend $5 million total on your quarterback, you're unserious about it.
Well, but they got a guy that the Jets now spent $20 million on, and I don't know what Russ got in New York, at least 10. So those guys are now getting $30 million combined. So they got him for a bargain. It's an organization that's a good decision. But since they tried it with Kenny Pickett. All right, he was a first-round draft pick in 22. They had Mason Rudolph. He was a third-round pick in 18. They had Landry Jones. He was a fourth-round pick in 2013. There's been 5 quarterbacks drafted.
Trubisky they grabbed from. It was first-round pick.
Yeah. So it's not like they're not trying to solve the problem. We just forget when you've had a great one like they did with Ben for so long. It's the same issue that New Orleans has had, Indy is having. New England is having, like great organizations are often great because of the great quarterback that they have. When you lose them, it's hard to find a new one.
I think that's fair, and I understand like the financial prudence of it. But this is the facts of who Aaron Rodgers is as a quarterback, and I was like, I kind of have to do a better job showing the actual facts of who Aaron Rodgers is, because I think we're in prime hater culture right now.
Where any criticism, you're a hater.
It's like, you're actually just a hater. It's like, no, these are just the facts, okay? He will be the oldest quarterback in the league on a repaired Achilles who is not mobile. He had 107 yards and 0 touchdowns last year. He was 30th in the league rushing. He was never a great rusher, but 107, he still had 3 times that much in his prime. He throws for 300 yards once in his last 38 games. He now completes 63% of his passes, which is better than Caleb, who all we talked about was how inaccurate he was, but not as good as Will Levis. And then we talk about leadership, because you're big on force multiplier. Coach was fired, GM fired. He ran a wide receiver out of town because he supposedly ran out the wrong route. And the Steelers thought that was unfair because they liked the wide receiver, because then they went and signed him. Meanwhile, in his last exit, he just threw Aaron Glenn in that leadership out of the bus. I haven't heard about anybody's exit interview. We didn't hear about Mike Williams' exit interview from the Jets. He just showed up in the Steelers uniform. So if all those reasons between his health and mobility, throwing the actual football, and leadership, the idea that the Steelers shouldn't make some move and they're just band-aiding it again, and we're going to be here next year, it's like, hey, what are they supposed to do? He's just going to add to that list of failed quarterbacks.
So the thing you said at the end there, I think, was underrated in the last 2 days, or whenever the hell he went on McAfee, in the discussion of it. His total lack of accountability and self-awareness about why these last 2 years with the Jets were awful was, to me, if I was considering bringing him in to my team to be the leader and the quarterback, I'd have said, okay, never mind, can't do it. The guy's out to lunch. Again, I know a lot of people consumed that interview. A lot of the viewers probably, scrolling your phone in clips. If you sit there and God love you, it's not part of your job, so you didn't have to. But it's part of mine, so I did. And watched that whole hour where it wasn't just crushing Aaron Glenn for doing it in person when he would have crushed him for doing it on the phone. Mm-hmm. It was also about how bad those 2 years were, as if his lack of availability, high-level play, accountability, all of that wasn't a huge piece of it. To me, I just can't imagine wanting that guy to lead my football team.
Now,
I just can't.
I've been as harsh on Aaron Rodgers, I think, as anybody here. But in fairness to him, the Jets have been pretty dysfunctional.
Yeah,
don't they have the longest playoff drought right now?
Yeah, that's true. But the Steelers are testing it.
Well,
they
but what I'm saying is when you compare organizations, you would pretty strongly make the argument that the Raiders or that the Steelers have not been dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
And are, if anything, the opposite of that. So I'm sure from Tomlin's perspective, who has dealt with a lot of difficult personalities, from that organization's perspective, they feel like they can absorb this better than, say, the Jets could, which pretty much sold everything out to try to accommodate Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so there's that component of it. And the other thing we're losing track of is when you are starving, everything looks really good. And he is the best available right now, unless there's some strong opinion in that building that they can solve this through the draft.
See, that's my thing. And I said yesterday, and I stand by it, I do think the Steelers should move on because he's not all in. Okay, and when he was all in with the Jets, it didn't amount to anything. However, just from the quarterbacks available outside of Kirk Cousins, they're better off, I think, with Aaron Rodgers than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, probably, but that, to me, the way you become a dysfunctional franchise is one step at a time. And this has been a dysfunctional offseason by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes. And allowing what they're going to do at quarterback be determined potentially by a guy who just doesn't want the attention, but did a 1-hour television interview where he explained he doesn't even know if he wants to play football. He's not certain of it, is how you become a dysfunctional franchise.
But Nick, which organization solved their dysfunction? Was it Cleveland when they signed, who'd they sign? Joe Flacco?
Oh, okay.
Okay, was it them? Was it the Giants when they signed Russell Wilson? Was it the Jets when they signed Justin Fields? Did they solve their quarterback dysfunction by just getting a name in the slot? The Steelers had two of those guys, and Joe Flacco, look, he's done some nice things later on, but you wouldn't say that's solved. So what move could they have made at quarterback that where you guys would look at it and go like, that's...
They should have kept, we wouldn't be calling them a Super Bowl contender, but they should have kept either Russ or Fields.
But also there's a difference between having a hole at quarterback and having the team be a dysfunctional or a circus. The Steelers had a hole at quarterback. Now they're a team with a hole at quarterback and they're wrapped up in this potential dysfunction and circus. And I'm here to tell you, if you bring Aaron Rodgers into the building, he is going to eventually leave the building. Go on Pat McAfee's show and tell the whole world how awful the building was and had nothing to do with him. He did it to Gutekunst and the Packers, who we think are smart. He did it to Aaron Glenn, who just got there, but everyone who knows Aaron Glenn loves him. And so,
But know who's got a microphone too? Mike Tomlin. Know who's got a lot of credibility? Mike Tomlin. So you can go get on a microphone, but Mike will get on a microphone too and tell the truth from his perspective. And I don't think that will be the goal when Aaron goes in there is, hey, let me try to mess this up again.
No, but the goal will always be to make sure that if it's messed up, it's not. He's very on the record. It's not my fault, guys. Listen, I'm accountable too. It's not my fault.
Right. And we all sit around and go, well, yeah, it is. And when you're dealing with someone like Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh yeah, they don't know how to deal with players. They don't know how to make it work.
Trade up and draft Shedeur.
I don't know if they'll have to trade up.
Yeah, I don't know.
If he's there, I take him. You got to take him.
I do it for the dart throw rather than this. It's just worth it.
Yeah.
If you told me there's a 20% chance.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
Yeah, I don't know.
Live from New York. Wow!
He was on beaches.
Live from New York. It's a show that's very excited for the NBA playoffs. We're just going to be up all night.
Don't stop it, man.
I didn't say anything. I'm just ready to watch the game.
Talk about sleeping in his recliner.
You recline.
I can't wait. Second hour, first things first. Today, round 1, game 1, and our first playoff edition of Must Win. It's a must-win weekend. Meanwhile, what would it mean for Giannis if he lost in the first round again? We discuss. But right now, well, you're in for a treat, and so are we. We're back in the kitchen, where we cooked up a new segment to see who has the recipe for success and who is just totally cooked. We also, of course, purchased a pie in our slow evolution towards becoming a cooking show that occasionally talks about sports. Today's pie. What is this pie, Dusty?
This
Can you
is
tell
delicious.
me in my ear?
You should know you've been eating.
Today's pie, sparkling Prosecco apple crumb.
All right, so now you
Today's
guys are getting
segment,
liquored up.
Title pie. Remember
and
I wanted to
eating.
put like the Celtics in there?
Yeah.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, but you didn't. And you
This
didn't actually
is
follow
amazing.
through on that. You
was
did
tasty.
follow through on eating. All right, so here's the deal. There are going to be some new teams on the pie, teams that were previously in the less than 1%, because now the playoffs are basically underway. This is what I decided. If I think there is a chance you could win a round, then you've got to have a slice of the pie. If I think there's a chance you're one of the final 8 teams, then you got to have at least a slice of the pie. So play-in or playoff teams that have no slice whatsoever are the following, the less than 1%ers. So it's the 4 teams playing tonight plus the Magic. And I apologize to the Magic, but they've got no chance whatsoever of beating the Celtics. And so we will now get to the teams, new teams to the pie, 1%. Detroit Pistons. They got a chance of beating the Knicks. They got to have a pie, and then right alongside them, the Knicks, who I think will beat the Pistons, but don't have much of a chance at all in round 2 against Boston. To the 2%ers. Listen, I like how the pies now we updated the graphics of it. Did you notice that? Yeah, it kind of fills in. I like that. Well done, graphics team in Charlotte. The Pacers, who are big favorites, according to our friends at DraftKings, in this series. And Halliburton's probably going to be an All-NBA player. They could be in the round of the round of 8, the semifinals, with maybe a chance against Cleveland. I don't know. Also at 2%. The Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they would be dangerous, a real contender to get to the conference finals if they can get to the conference semifinals. They would have a bigger slice if they weren't playing the Lakers, who I think are the most formidable Western Conference team. This might surprise people that the Bucks are only at 3%. They didn't move up even with the Dame news, but that's really just because I don't know how much impact Dame is going to be able to have on this series in round 1, and I think this series in round 1 is going to be a monster to begin with, and they got a 3% slice due to bigger than they probably deserved due to the respect we have for Giannis to begin with. All right, also up to 3%, I should say, Houston.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
up 3%.
Well, I think they're going to beat the Warriors. I think that they're going to beat the Warriors, and then, listen, I don't like their chances against the Lakers in round 2. I would like their chances against the Timberwolves in round 2. I think the draw ended up being not favorable for them, but if I'm them, I'd rather play the Warriors than play the Clippers, who could have fallen, to that 7th spot had the Warriors won that game 82, so they're up to 3%. Down to 3% is Golden State, because when we did the pie last week, we did not know that Golden State was going to fall to the 7 line. We thought Golden State at the time might end up being the 5, potentially, depending on how things fell. Instead, they fall there, and they have the hard-fought and I think unimpressive game against Memphis. They drop a bit. The Clippers also drop. Now, that might sound unfair because they've been nothing but impressive. I just think their draw is brutal. So it's not about how they've played, it's that they end up getting Denver and Joker in round 1. They're on the same side of the bracket as OKC. I think that's brutal. Denver moves up to 5% because I actually like them in this matchup against the Clippers. I also think we thought, you fired your coach, you were waving the white flag on the season. Turns out that's not how they viewed it. And Jamal Murray is now back. We have seen him play in full. Joker maybe have a chip on his shoulder if he finds out he's not going to win league MVP, which I don't think he's going to. He probably doesn't actually care, but they're up a tiny bit to 5%. Now to the 4 teams who've had the biggest slices thus far. Up to 10%, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Cavs, honestly, since last time we did the pie, nothing has changed for them. So why did they move up to 10%? Because whenever I hear about injections and knees for your second best player, and that's what's happening with Boston, I feel like the Cavs are sitting there saying, well, our chances just got greater. We have home court. We don't have an easy path, but round 1 will be a breeze for both of us. And the Celtics look a little less formidable. Down to 14%, just a tiny bit. Down to 14% is Oklahoma City. And that is because I don't care who wins between Clippers Nuggets. That's a brutal round 2.
Yeah.
And I think that either way, you are going to be facing a team with a ton of playoff experience, a ton of championship experience, a ton of finals experience, and whoever wins that series, it's either going to be the Nuggets, who are like, hey, Mike Malone was the problem, evidently. We're on fire since then. Or the Clippers, who have been one of the best teams in basketball for almost 2 months. Steady at 25% is the Los Angeles Lakers. I didn't think they got a bad draw. When we did it last week, we knew they were going to be the 3, or we basically knew. I thought the Timberwolves were basically the median team they could be facing. We knew the Rockets would be where they were, and so they stay exactly where they were. And still the biggest slice, but down just a bit, is the Boston Celtics, and that is because I am going to continue to be concerned is too strong. Alert to what's going on with Jaylen Brown until we see him play at full strength. I don't think the Celtics can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers if Jaylen Brown is not Jaylen Brown. I think. What's up, KW?
I'm taking the other side of that. I think this has been bothering him for a long time.
Yes.
So some of these amazing games that Jaylen had with like great dunks and scoring outputs and great defense, I think his knee was bothering him then. I don't think it's going to be. I think 100%'s off the board, but back to where it was, I think is okay.
So a
little alarmist is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And as you know, knees down.
That's what I thought.
Basically,
I mean, you are the
Achilles, feet. I'm moving up to knees.
You're the editor of Walking Boot Weekly, and nobody thinks he's
Hobble Watch.
Right. Well, Hobble Watch is a feature in Walking Boot Weekly.
No, it's digital only.
Okay, sorry. I just think when we look back at Brew and we're like, hey, why didn't that team repeat? Very often it's like, one of their key guys. What happened to the Bucks when they were trying to repeat? Middleton got dinged. A lot of times it's one of your key guys is just not 100% or not there, and so I'm putting him at 27%.
No, it's a good pie. I think the Lakers, who I have winning the West as well, deserve a little smaller slice.
Okay.
Like down to maybe 20-ish%, somewhere around there. Because I said they'll beat the Timberwolves in 5. But the Timberwolves are kind of dangerous. You got this upstart young star in Anthony Edwards. So you got that to deal with. Then I think the Warriors, I got the Warriors beating Houston. I think the Warriors are a tough matchup for the Lakers. The Lakers are not, from what I've seen, bothered by size. What they could be bothered by, and granted, it was one game that they played, when both teams were playing well, though, and the Warriors beat them. The Warriors struggle against size, but the Lakers don't really have that anymore. So it's small ball against small ball. Theoretically, in Butler and Draymond, you got 2 guys that can at least make it tough on Luka and Draymond.
Or Luka and LeBron.
Luka and LeBron, I'm sorry. And so I think that also, if Jamal Murray isn't himself, then you've only got a handful of teams in the West with 2 guys that can get you 25 a night in the playoffs, or 24 a night, whatever you want to say. Luka and LeBron, Kawhi and Harden, and Steph and Jimmy Butler. And again, playoff Jimmy, we've seen signs of him being back. I think if he is, they're dangerous. So I just think that's a tough second round matchup for the Lakers. I think they win, but it'd be tough. And so I dropped them.
So it sounds like you'd give the whatever percent you take from the Lakers, you'd give to the Warriors.
Yes.
Because here's what I am confident in because of Brew's natural mistrust of young people.
Yes.
If we have Lakers Warriors in round 2, we know if the Lakers win, he's picking them to beat the Thunder. If the Warriors win, I think he'll pick them to beat the Thunder.
The Warriors beat the Lakers.
You will pick them to beat the Thunder.
Good chance. Good chance. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but good chance.
I think that train's coming down the tracks. Go ahead, Wild.
I'm going to give the Knicks a slightly larger slice. And I just want to get the bad news out of the way. Because I think sometimes news can be so bad, actually good.
1-13.
That's right. Okay.
Oh, 0-16.
This is 0-16. Thunder, Celtics, Cavs, Lakers, Warriors, Clippers against title favorites.
That's good news? Or that's so bad that it becomes good?
So bad it becomes good, yes.
Oh, I got to hear this.
Remember the story about Lamar and the Steelers?
Yeah.
Can't beat him. And then what happened?
He wasn't 0-16.
It was one. They might be able to beat. Well, I don't see any of those teams they can beat, but still, one team. It wasn't can't beat like any of the top contenders.
Lamar beat the Steelers. And then when we were doing over-unders, Brew says, now that you beat the Steelers, that's gone. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Renewed sense of confidence.
Yeah.
Same with the Knicks. All you got to do is get one win against one of these teams, start feeling good. Now, some of these teams you don't even get a chance to play because they're in the Western Conference. So it almost doesn't matter. Thunder, Lakers,
Celtics,
Warriors,
Cavs.
Clippers. You can just throw those in the garbage. It doesn't really matter. So just take those out, throw those in the garbage, and then it's not that bad. Probably.
Did Josh force you into doing that?
6.
He didn't. Hold on.
Ramsey. It's Ramsey and Josh.
Hold on. I understand sometimes
0-16
with these segments, you guys can be in a rough spot because so often it's perfect and you're like, but I'm supposed to pick a flaw.
What if it didn't rain in 16 days?
Hold on. But that's not.
Probably
that's
not.
not.
We're due for rain.
Hold on.
That's how
that's
the
not
world
the problem
works.
Here. The problem is this.
cloud
The problem is
basketball
this.
works.
Just give me a second. You had how many teams were on that pie? 11.
Yeah.
There were 11 teams to choose from.
Yeah.
Put that graphic back up,
Yeah,
if you would,
please.
please. You picked. What's your one take about this basketball season?
Well, the Celtics are obviously winning.
Okay, got it. Who do we know? Because the NBA does not reseed. The Knicks are guaranteed to play if they make it to round 2.
I'm just.
Who
That's
is
not
it?
how I view it.
Who
I
is
view it in a
It's the
vacuum.
Celtics, right? That's what I'm saying. So the
I don't do
only
a
question
domino
is
effect.
the only question is this: could the Knicks beat the Celtics in a series?
Zero chance.
Okay, well, so you're giving them 0% to make round 3. I gave them 1% to win the whole thing, and you're saying make it bigger.
They still deserve a larger slice.
What percent of beat the Celtics in round 2 pie would you give them?
0.
Okay, see, this is...
Well, this is a flaw of the segment. That's not my reasoning. I'll give this.
Just pick. Why didn't you? Can I?
Well, you want me to do my pie? Make the whole thing green.
No.
Make it like St.
That's not
Patrick's
what
Day.
it was. That's not what it was. And
Green
Brew,
pie, it's called.
No, Brew,
Welcome to another episode of Green Pie.
I don't know if you have noticed, but Wild's slow. He is dropping the Rockets off at a fire
I'm
station
not.
and
He got
ringing
no
the
love
bell.
for the Rockets at all.
Wilds, I
Have you even picked them over
set
Golden
this
State?
up on.
You gave them
team.
more.
I have them with the same percentage as Golden State. All you've got to do is say defense wins championships. The Rockets are the 2 seed. Warriors are the 7 seed.
Yeah, they
Dylan
rebound.
Brooks this.
You know what the
all that.
number 1 rebounding team is? The Rockets.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so why didn't you say
could've
just give
played
them a
into
bigger
your
slice?
whole,
That's all you had
it's
to
the
do.
standings.
Jalen Brunson.
Spend less time in the recliner, more time on Basketball Reference.
Ooh.
What is this?
Jalen Brunson.
Where did this come from? Were
I'm
you supposed
doing
to
the
show me
Knicks.
this early? You weren't done?
I have 3 full screens.
You said they're getting swept by the Celtics.
Okay, Jalen Brunson, that's good. What's the third one?
I don't even know. Josh did it.
Topped in the season in paint
paint
points per game.
game. Yeah.
And 3 points. Yeah, I don't see the Celtics on there.
Yeah, why is that? You know what it is? Because we don't go in the paint.
You don't go in the paint.
We don't go in the paint. But if the game slows down,
Jeez,
you know what? If the game slows down.
That means the Knicks could beat the Celtics.
Yeah.
They can't, but they deserve a larger slice.
Bro, great job.
They do.
It's just...
There's a lot of things that there's no chance, but you deserve
I think you've
something.
had too much of this Prosecco.
I haven't had one bite.
It doesn't sound like it.
I don't like when there's
sounds
plastic
like you've had
on
a whole
pies.
Plastic?
Yeah, there's like little gold
No, that's
things.
real gold.
No, it's tasty, Wilds, believe me.
Must win for LeBron tomorrow?
Yeah, we're doing
Next.
a special episode of Must Win next. Right now, well, buckle up, okay? It's time now for one of the most serious segments in all of sports television, okay? On the eve of the NBA playoffs, we are facing an existential question. Must win? But Wilds, it's a long series. It doesn't matter. You sure? Here's a fact that should strike fear into your heart. If you're the home team and you win game one, you win the series 84% of the time. But if you lose, your historic odds drop to under 50%. Poker players call that a coin flip. So, must win isn't just a pithy idea. It's literally the difference between success and extinction. Up first, Lakers Wolves in LA Sunday night. LeBron, always a fan of the feel-out game. Actually, under 500 in his game one career. But with the Lakers. With the Lakers. He's on the Lakers.
Difference.
Yeah. But this is, 9 games. This will be his first true home game one since the bubble doesn't really count, but he theoretically
first true home game
with the Lakers.
Because they've never had been a top 4 seed except for the bubble.
Okay.
So the question is, must win?
No. Not a must win.
I mean, I don't know if we did you hit the music.
No, you're fine. Yeah, go. You got it.
All right.
All the stats just said that it goes down to a coin flip.
No more Prosecco pie for Wilds.
It's going to be a coin flip now.
No, it is not a must win. LeBron, you just showed it. He hasn't won a game one. He's under 500 in game ones in LA, and he's obviously been all the way to the conference finals with the Lakers and won it. I won't count the bubble right now. But he's seen it all. You're talking about a guy that's come back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals, the only person or team to ever do it. So I get that, if the Lakers, don't win this game, Minnesota's feeling good about themselves. Game 2 becomes kind of a must-win for sure. But, no, I don't think game 1 is a must-win at all because of the experience of LeBron James. He is, like you said, fill-out game. That was 21 points a game or 22 points a game in games 1. Very low for LeBron. So if he comes out and does something like that and they lose, he's just feeling it out. He'll be fine, and the Lakers will be fine.
And it is, not only is it not a must-win for the Lakers, it is definitively a must-win for the Timberwolves. Because here is, to me, the more important LeBron Game 1 stat, which is if he beats you in Game 1, you're dead. If you beat him in Game 1, as poker players would say, it's a coin flip. And so the 29-2, and those two, I was trying to do it off the top of my head. One is the finals to Dallas in 2011. And I can't remember what the other one is, but it was, I think, early in his career. But regardless, I know it's the finals loss to Dallas in one other series. And so you have, if the Timberwolves lose game 1, because it is, even when it is a LeBron feel-out game. So if you don't win the feel-out game, you got no shot in the series because he is going to be going less than full bore, certainly early, and trying to figure out what's what. And so, yeah, I think that if the Timberwolves win game 1, we're in for a series potentially. Now, it also is noteworthy in the bubble en route to the championship. They lost game 1 to Portland, beat them in 5, lost game 1 to the Rockets, beat them in 5. I don't think they lost game 1 to the Nuggets. I don't quite remember. But they, those back-to-back series, they lost game 1, then gentlemen swept them.
That's so weird, though. No fans and no.
No, I understand.
It's hard to.
Agreed. But so I think that the Timberwolves absolutely have to steal game 1 for them to have a real shot.
See, I disagree with that just because their goal, is to
get the
become
split.
cliche, but yeah, if they can get a split and they still would obviously have a chance to do that in game 2, they go back 1-1 with home court advantage, they're feeling good. So I don't think it's a must-win.
So it was the other game 1 series that he won game 1, but they lost was his final series in Cleveland against Boston, 2010.
I thought I was going to say that.
Yeah, so it was back-to-back years
because I remember they were up 2-1.
They were up 2, yep.
And he was phenomenal.
Same with
game
the finals, up 2-1 against Dallas.
Yeah.
Up next, Warriors at the number 2 seeded Houston Rockets, who despite having home court are now the underdogs. Many Houston players getting their first taste of playoff action. Here's the combined playoff experience of the rosters. Warriors have 582 games of playoff experience, where the Rockets have 264.
As odd as it sounds, that's closer than I would have thought.
Well, a lot of it are just
Steven Adams, Fred VanVleet, and Dylan Brooks.
Right.
That's
the problem.
Say must win for Houston.
It is a must win for Houston. Look, their 3 best players, Amin Thompson, Şengün, and Jalen Green, have no playoff experience, all right? And Ime Udoka is a great coach, but we saw what the Warriors did against him in the finals a few years ago when he was in Boston. So I think Houston has to come out and get this win. You're already being disrespected, I'm sure they feel, by being the underdogs. You're a 2 seed. How many 2 seeds are ever underdogs, all right? And so you're being disrespected that way. Now, if they come into your house and beat you right away in game 1, I just think your confidence wanes. You can talk it. You can front like you're still confident. But those young guys, I think it'll hit them hard. And I just think so for those reasons, it's a must win for Houston. And then if Houston loses game 1, now Golden State's looking to try to end this thing quickly and get some more rest. And then you're really in trouble.
All right, before I give my answer, who got the point for the first one?
Are you doing points?
I don't know. Do we do points in must win?
Well, I thought we did.
All right, we'll from now on.
Okay. All right, you
Well, starting next week.
No. You mean
Why,
from
are you
this
gonna
answer?
try harder?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of. This is a feel-out game.
This is a feel-out must win. Okay.
The game starts tonight. It's kind of a feel-out round.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I have a secondary question for you.
All right, well, can I answer this one
first?
first?
Yeah, and then you can steal the point.
All right, thank you.
I thought there were no.
This is it's 100% a must-win for Houston for the reasons Bruce said and with precedent. So I'm 2 separate precedent. One is the Rockets have to follow the path the Kings were on in 2023. So the Kings were the 3 seed, the Warriors were the 6 seed. The Kings won games 1 and 2 at home, and then, if you remember, game 4 to go up 3-1, Harrison Barnes has the shot at the buzzer. He missed it. And I still think the Kings could have won that series, would have won that series, but De'Aaron Fox breaks his finger, and Steph, to his credit, game 7, 50 points. But the path of getting those first 2 wins and taking control and being able to play kind of carefree when you go back to Golden State. The other part is this. Those fans in Houston, where you can have a real home court, have to believe it's not the same old. 2015, those fans saw the Golden State Warriors beat them in the conference finals 4-1. 2016, they watched the Golden State Warriors beat them in the first round 4-1. 2018, they missed 27 straight threes to go to the NBA Finals and lost in the conference finals 4-3. And then 2019, the Warriors beat the Rockets 4-2. So that's 4 times in the last decade. This Warriors team, by the way, I know the Rockets have changed. The Warriors have. I mean, it's still Steph Curry, still Draymond Green, and still Steve Kerr. So this is triply a must-win.
Bonus question to steal the point.
Thank you.
Rockets are underdogs in the series, but favored in this game.
I know.
Are they going to be? I assume if they're favored in every home game, that's odd.
So that is odd. And what will be even odder is this: they will, if they win this game, they almost assuredly will be underdogs in game 2.
Yeah.
And so, like, it is. But also, by the way, Wilds, so they opened as 1-point dogs in this game, and now they're 1.5 favorites. But this is an instance where you're right that the series price does not match the game price, which is why I think the series is mispriced. I don't think the Warriors should be huge favorites in the series the way they are.
1-0.
Who?
You, obviously.
I thought you were saying
Obviously.
the series.
But we don't know any of that stuff.
obviously?
But you knew that stuff?
He was
Series
bringing
price?
up the gambling stuff. I don't even know what series price means.
That's exactly why he got the point. Pistons in the Garden. New York hasn't been able to beat good teams this year. But in the last 2 postseasons, New York's electric fan base, remember that guy? He's out there with the microphone doing all sorts of crazy stuff. He's given them the 3rd most playoff home wins.
That's impressive.
And, so for the Knicks, must win?
Absolute must win for the Knicks.
Really?
This is the biggest must win of the weekend.
Oh, wow.
All right, that's a statement for you. Write back down my point right now.
Okay.
All right, this is
now
why.
Bruce into it.
The Pistons were 3-1 against the Knicks this season, including, and those were the last 3 meetings. So the Knicks won the first game of the season against Detroit, and Detroit won the next 3. Detroit has been playing much better basketball for the second half of the season. The Knicks have had guys in and out of the lineup, some injuries, and there's all the talk, starting here, about Cat not delivering in the playoffs. I remember last year he wasn't the same Cat he was in the regular season as he was in the playoffs.
It's really just you.
No, I showed the stats. His points dropped, what?
But
I think it was
really
5
heard
points
that
a game.
many places.
It's all
right
over the place.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And so if you come out and Detroit, this young upstart team with maybe the best player in the series in Cade Cunningham, they come into your building. You just showed it. Knicks have the 3rd most home wins in the playoffs in the last few years. That's stunning. Because it's not like they've been to the finals or the conference finals or something like that. And so they've been protected home court. If a young team that's questioning itself, all right, hadn't been in the playoffs in, I think, 6 years, first year coach there, they come in, win a game in one of the toughest playoff arenas to win in, they have taken home court. The Knicks, and you know New York, the back pages will go crazy.
Bruce, should we score the whole show? Are we like leaving?
Score this. It is an absolute must win.
You've got to somehow tell him that every segment scored.
I know.
This level of energy.
Is that why we didn't get
an
an Emmy
enthusiasm? I don't. So here's the thing, and I hate to do this to Brew because he wants to get the point so badly. Brew, you've got the Knicks in this series, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In 7.
Right. Game 2's Monday, because they don't have the extra day. So if the Pistons win on Saturday, on game Monday on the show, you're going to say the Pistons are going to win the series,
that's
right?
That's not the spirit of the segment.
All right, no. Listen,
it is obvious. We just move on.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. That's not the spirit of the segment.
And that was a literal must-win because you couldn't go down 2-0, although this is the bonus round and worth 2 points.
It's not a must-win for the Knicks.
How not?
Because the Pistons are so young, and I don't think any of us feel like that the Knicks are going to be in brutal shape if they lose this game. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose this game. I expect them to win the series, but if you
think Detroit's got a shot. I'm picking it 7-game
right,
series.
That's kind of my point. If you think it's going to be a 7-game series, you probably think they're each going to win on each other's home court in the lead up to Game 7. Like, probably.
Again, I read the rules before the segment. It's not literal.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
No
All right.
problem.
Now it's the final bonus round. Clippers go into Denver. Here's an odd stat. Championship year, Jokic won every game 1. So en route to 4-0. Every other year, he's 3-7 in game 1.
Yeah.
Odd, right? So for Denver, Brew, you scored last. You control the board. Do you want to go first, or do you want to run the anchor leg?
I will go first.
Must win?
It is a must win for the Nuggets. Here's why. They're feeling good about themselves. Where are the vibes at for the Nuggets?
It's oddly pretty high.
Yes, very high. All right, Jokic seems a little rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they've won 3 straight since Michael Malone was shown the door. they're feeling good about themselves. And this is a series where both teams are even. Like, it's kind of a pick-em series, and I'm picking the Clippers. If they and you showed it, the one time they won the championship, they won game 1 at home. All right, so if they go out there in Denver where they haven't had the great home court advantage this year, but generally, historically, it's been huge home court, and you lose this to the Clippers, it does not bode well for you.
Well, it might not bode well, but it's definitely not a must-win, because how many times have we seen James Harden teams, and James Harden in particular, look awesome in a game 1? We watched him in Philly drop 45 in a game winner from the corner in a game 1, and then as the series ratchets up, as the pressure ratchets up, his play drops off. So even if the Clippers go in there and steal this game, we are not going to feel like, oh, well, that's definitely the Clippers team we're going to get in a game 5, a game 6, or a game 7. Wow. We all expect this to be. No, you don't get to answer. You guys, you're full time. We all expect this to be an awesome series, a long series that favors Denver. The fact that game 7's in their building favors Denver, and the fact that James Harden is likely going to be at his best in game 1, and then diminishing returns favors Denver.
What round was that in Boston last year, or when he was in Philly?
That was round 2.
Yeah, he's great in round 1. The struggles come round 2, round 3.
That's not definitively true.
Round 1, he delivers. How many times was he eliminated in round 1 in the playoffs?
2016 to the Warriors, 4-1. I think he had 12.
And that was the Warriors.
No, but that's not the only time. But that was where he had 12 turnovers in the elimination game. What's up, K-Dub?
That was 9 years ago.
Hey, well, that's just the one off top of my head. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Brew takes it home 3-1.
3-1?
This was worth 2.
Yes! That's right. I wish you had told me from the beginning.
I wish I told you when the show started.
We're talking Giannis' legacy next. Approaching game time for Dame time. He'll miss game 1 of Bucks Pacers, but ramping up quickly, as Doc Rivers says he has no limitations at all. Wow, he can fly. Giannis, meanwhile, trying to get back to his winning playoff ways. After winning the finals, the Bucks were bounced in the second round, then had 2 first-round exits. So, Brew, what would a third straight first-round exit mean for Giannis?
Look, to each his own. You can do what you want to do. Wow. And I am a small market guy. I grew up in small markets, so I love small markets. But if they lose this series, it's probably time for Giannis to say, I want out.
Wow.
I mean, like, look, if he wants, he's going to have a great legacy regardless. He's won his championship. His numbers are historic. He's first ballot. We know all that. MVPs, everything. But if he wants to have, like, one of those all-time elite legacies and be in the discussion with the greatest of the great, which his individual play shows, then he's going to have to win more championships. And look, KD, so we can say what we want about whether people think those were easy rings or not, but he got his rings. And he's a 2-time champion, and he was finals MVP to boot. So you can't rip KD in that way. LeBron went to Miami, got his rings, and then did, won some more.
Giannis has a ring.
I know, but he and we talked about it earlier. One is like he's a made man. But I just think he's the type of guy that wants to go, he wants more. And I respect that. He wants more than just the individual accolades. So I think if they've tried, I'm not saying it's all the Bucks. The Dame trade, they've tried. And some of it's on Giannis. But he may need to go elsewhere to win multiple rings.
This to me would be a year premature. Like the start the Giannis clock.
He's what, 30?
So I think he's
12 years in the league.
I get that, but they have felt unlucky more than they have felt flawed the last couple years. This year they felt, you know what I mean? I guess last year they felt flawed and unlucky.
He was hurt.
Yeah, but even going into it, it looked like, okay.
Yeah, they haven't looked like a great team. They haven't looked like a great team in a while. But I also think, I don't see, especially Wilds, under the apron rules.
No.
I don't see a lot of teams that would be in much better position than Milwaukee once they trade the things you need to trade to get Giannis. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what's happened to Kevin Durant. Is since leaving the Warriors is the teams give up these things to make the room, the Nets to get him, and then the Suns to trade the picks or the players to get him, and wherever he goes next might happen as well. Like, I don't see an obvious bang.
If he went to Miami, say you had to give up Bam, but
they're not any better.
You kept Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler
really?
Hero.
I think they're better.
I think Tyler
that
Hero
culture,
is better than Dame. I think
I don't think he is either, but I'm saying that culture, that's just a better organization.
Might be a better, I don't know, but I don't think.
Our YouTube channel has been really good. I do read your comments, so please be nice. Also, Mavs Grizzlies. AD, very successful against the Mavs. Against the Grizzlies. Their last matchup. Shams is reporting, just had an injection in his ankle. Says he's going to play. What do you got in this game?
I've got the Grizzlies, bro.
Yeah, look, I'm hoping desperately for the Grizzlies. I want to see Ja Shea. I will go with the Grizzlies. But
who do you think, real quick, who would give OKC a better series?
Memphis.
I agree. I don't think either one of them give them a good one, but I think Memphis maybe steal a game.
Okay. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great show.